So, just a little side note before this video starts. Uh, the audio and the audio recorded fine, the audio did not. So, instead of completely scrapping the video, I decided just to upload the audio and add some, editing to it because I really like this video. I liked how we talked about. So, pardon the lack of face cam. I'm going to work on making sure my computer can handle recording it. So I'm going to figure out a way that way for next video. Next time we do something like that. Next time I do something like that, either with NJ Raider Nation or with someone else in the Raider Nation, I will make sure that I can actually record it. So without further ado, here is the video. What's going on, Raider Nation? It is JT coming at you with a very special video today. I'm here with my friend NJ Raider Nation. Don't forget to go subscribe to him on his channel. He has a YouTube as well. I'll have it down in the description. And also follow him on Twitter at NJ Raider Nation 0. Definitely go follow him. We're definitely going to do a few more videos together as the season goes on. But today is the preview show of the Titans versus the Raiders. Early game, 1 p.m. game for Eastern time, which is what we are. And I just want to know, how are you feeling after that last game?
Well, I think, for starters, I think I'm feeling pretty much the same way every other Raider fan's feeling. The best way to explain it is, it's two different games and two different halves. And the Raiders look good the first half, and the second half, you can't even say they look bad. I mean, it's just like they didn't show up,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so I think the best way to explain it is honestly just like, two different teams out there wearing the same uniforms. But that's, it's the best way I can explain it.
I absolutely agree. And I mean, if you guys, follow my Twitter and stuff like that, you'll see who I think is at fault for the game, and that was the offense, and not necessarily the defense. But I definitely want to hear what you think. How do you feel about it? Like, do you think it was just a general team collapse? Do you think it was all on the offense? Do you think the defense should have done more to stop them? Just what do you have to say?
So I definitely understand the talking points for, why people are blaming the offense. Like coming out the second half, not scoring any points. They're scoring, 3 points?
Yeah, I think it was only like a field goal or something like that.
Yeah, so I definitely understand that, that's just, you can't win a game and not score any points. And I was really thinking that until the Eagles, what was that, Monday night, right, they played?
It was a Monday night or like Sunday night or something like that.
Oh, yeah, maybe it was Sunday night. But after they played, and then the second half, the score didn't change at all. I think that was a pretty good point as to why you could almost say, okay, well, their offense didn't score any more points, and their defense was able to hold them out. So because originally I was thinking more so on the defense side of things, like just with the way Kyler was able to run, I just thought that was like you can't let that happen. But of course, on the other side of things, offense not scoring any points in the second half, that can't happen. But I wouldn't put it on one person on the offense. I mean, I think the entire offense just looked flat the second half, and starting so hot in the first half, I don't know why that really was. But then I do think it's just easier to say, the defense just really let the Cardinals run all over them.
Yeah, and it's those little moments on defense, like the Max Crosby sack, almost sack, I should say. The Max Crosby almost sack on, I think, the 2-point conversion or something like that. And then you have Kyler Murray having 20 seconds in the pocket to get the 2-point conversion or the touchdown or whatever it was. It's like those little moments are like, oh my God, we were that close on defense to stopping them. And basically ending the game, but it never happened. But yeah, there's also the offense just came out awful, and it's come down. In my opinion, it definitely comes down to Josh McDaniels and Derek Carr. And looking at the next game, the Titans, They have one of the worst just rosters right now, or just teams in general. Like they have not looked good at all. I believe their DVOA or whatever it is overall is like 32nd overall in the league, like between special teams, offense, and defense. Um, they looked atrocious. So it's definitely a game where the Raiders need to win. Starting 0-3 is nearly impossible to come back from in terms of making the playoffs. Both teams made the playoffs last year, and it bars 0-2 right now. So looking ahead, definitely the offense needs to step up, in my opinion. How do you think that the Raiders can win this game? Like, do you think they can win? And if they can win, how do you think they win?
Yeah, so simply, stopping the run, making sure Derrick Henry doesn't have a field day. I mean, I think that's, number one, right? And the first two games, the teams that the Titans played, they did do that, right? They stopped the
Mm-hmm.
run. And Tannehill is not that good of a thrower, and their wide receiver room isn't anything special. So, if we stop the run, I think we have a good chance of winning. And I think for looking at this game, I think the best thing to do is look at last year, how when we played the Colts, right? Because like JT is probably, um, you know, similar to Derrick Henry in terms of like how much they give them the ball. And when looking at last year, we handled the Colts pretty well by stopping the run, and we
Yeah.
won that game. So I think that's going to be obviously the main key to winning. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, offense, they can't shoot themselves in the foot. They
Oh
gotta
yeah.
play as flawless as they can, and stopping. And if honestly, if we stop the run and play a flawless game, no interceptions, no fumbles, and move down the field at like a normal pace, nothing crazy. No, we don't even need like crazy plays or anything. Just like good football on the offensive side, and stop the run on the defensive side. I think there's no reason we shouldn't win that game.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. Like stopping the run is how you stop the Titans right now, especially when they lost AJ Brown. They have not really had any wide receivers to help them. In that case, they have like Traylon Burks as a rookie, but he hasn't really done AJ Brown stuff yet. But yeah, their defense has not looked great. So if the offense definitely needs to work on that pretty sucky Titans defense. I mean, if the Bills offense they scored 41 points on that defense. And I'm not saying we're the Bills offense, but I definitely expect, at least 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns this game. And really running up that score. I think that'd be really important. If we can run up that score and keep the pedal on the gas this game, I think that would be really important. And going forward into week 4 against the Broncos and then week 5 against the Chiefs, if we can have an offense that'll keep the pedal to the metal on offense, keep scoring points, or at least keep sustaining longer drives, and allowing the defense to rest a little bit, that'll be the key to keeping not only the defense fresh, but also the offense just running in a rhythm. And definitely, obviously, like you said, the turnovers need to, stop. They need to stop happening.
If I was the Titans, after seeing what happened last week with the Cardinals and the Raiders, I mean, I don't know if I would completely bench Tannehill and start Malik. It's Willis.
Yeah, Malik Willis. Yeah.
I don't know if I would completely, do that and start Willis, but I would think about throwing him in the second half just because, just to see
Yeah.
the second half against a running quarterback. Because I don't know how much you got to see that Monday night game, the Bills versus Titans, but when they put Willis in, the ability to run the ball in this modern day of
The
NFL
dual
quarterback.
threat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing, and I think versus the Raiders, I have a feeling that that's our like downside to our defense. I really,
Hmm.
I think a dual threat quarterback we struggle against.
I definitely agree with that. We've struggled against Patrick Mahomes pretty consistently, literally every time we face him, except for one time in 2020 where we miraculously beat him, in empty Arrowhead Stadium. But we've struggled against him. We've struggled against Kyler Murray. I mean, just past game, I don't think we faced him before that. it's just those mobile quarterbacks definitely give us trouble. I mean, Lamar Jackson up until the second half last year, where we had like the big comeback win and stuff like that, but he was giving us problems. The dual threat is kind of going forward. I feel like it might be the future of the league and stuff like that. Just in terms of like you had Cam Newton. I mean, obviously he's not who he used to be, but when he had that MVP season, he was insane. He was impossible to stop. He was like this big guy. He could run, he could throw. That's how Lamar Jackson is. That's how Josh Allen is. That's how Patrick Mahomes is. Even Justin Herbert to an extent. Having that ability to be dual threat is really hard for defenses to stop, and that's really why we lost the game versus the Cardinals. Is Kyler Murray was just able to do whatever he wanted. He could throw the ball. He could obviously you can hand off the ball pretty easily. Most QBs can do that. But he could use his legs to extend plays. He had 20 seconds in the pocket, like I talked about. And he was able to still score even though he was kind of being surrounded and stuff like that. So definitely going forward, Malik Willis, if he comes into the game, I would definitely be worried about maybe him making a comeback, especially if we're up big. But I think as long as we go up big against them, their offense is going to really struggle to come back because they don't have a good passing attack, and their run game is literally just Derrick Henry, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean that is the thing, right? Like, would the Titans even put Malik Willis in? Like,
Probably not.
yeah, exactly, right. But if they were to do something like that, I would probably be a little more concerned than
And Tannehill.
right. Malik Willis is going to be able to run the ball off pretty much just as good as Tannehill is, and passing he hasn't really like proven himself in the NFL. He hasn't had much opportunity other than last week for whatever, a couple drives. But I would definitely be a little more concerned, if he was in the game. But again, they're probably not going to do that. So, especially on a short week, I doubt they would do that. And Tannehill had to really get talked to, basically saying that Malik Willis is going to come in. Don't worry, you're going to be our starter moving forward. So I doubt they would do that. But yeah, I mean, with that said, they just got to stop the run, and I think we should be all right.
Yeah. Going into this week, I am not expecting us to win. I can tell myself, oh, we should easily beat the Titans. And I talk to my, friends in real life. They're like, you guys should definitely beat the Titans. And I'm like, I will not trust we beat the Titans until there's zeros on the scoreboard and we have beaten the Titans, because it's not the Titans are a good team. It's just, I am so tired of getting my hopes up only to be crushed, every week in and week out. So for right now, I'm tempering my expectations for the game and just going into it thinking we lost, and if we win, I'll be extremely happy, and if we lose, I will still be disappointed anyway. So,
if you had $100 to put on one of the teams, what would you do?
Realistically, $100, the safe bet is the Raiders. So I have to go with the Raiders to win the game. I do have to say the Raiders should win this game. Like, this is not even like the Chargers, like, oh, we can win this game, or the Cardinals are, honestly, we should have won that game. And realistically, we didn't win that game. I was going to say we won that game. Realistically, no, we didn't. But realistically, this Titans team is even weaker. They don't have a good offense at all. They don't really have a strength that we can't handle. Which is why I would say, it's going to be the Raiders winning this game. But in my head, I'm keeping my expectations low, so that way if we do lose, I'm not as disappointed as if I was expecting us to blow the Cardinals like I was last week.
Yeah. With that said, though, I mean, if we do lose the season, I mean, it's nothing.
Over.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's going to be looking like that.
No. You go 0-3 in this AFC West, and yes, the Broncos don't look great right now, but that's not to say they don't look better going forward. Having 0 wins coming out of September is not good. You going 0-3 to start any season is an impossibility to even get a winning record sometimes. Like, it's very hard to even get a winning record at 0-3, especially with the extra game than it ever has been. And facing all the AFC teams that we have to face, especially the AFC West, and being in the AFC in general, which has a lot of really good teams right now, going 0-3 is a death sentence to the Raiders. And if that happens, I don't know. Our season's gone, basically.
Yeah, I mean, with that said, how do you think Titan fans are feeling? You know, being the number one seed last year out of the AFC, and you know, if we win, which the general expectation, you know,
Is we
picks and
do.
everything, yeah, we are the slight favorite. Um, how do you think they're going to be feeling starting the season 0-3?
Starting the season 0-3, I as a Titans fan, I'd be saying get rid of fucking Tannehill, get rid of maybe not get rid of Mike Vrabel because he's still a really good coach. I see the thing is I think what killed their chances of being in playoffs is AJ Brown trade, which I don't even think Vrabel wanted, because if you saw his reaction to him being traded, he literally got up from his seat and looked visibly annoyed that they just traded AJ Brown, because before the draft started, he's like, "We're not getting rid of AJ Brown. I love AJ Brown. Like he's one of our players. Like I would never trade him." And then they trade him for a first round pick, and he was visibly upset. So, in my opinion, Titans. I don't know how the Titans fans have been felt before the season, but I would not have been very excited because Tannehill already proved that he's not a very good, consistent passer, especially in that playoff game. He was awful in that playoff game versus the Bengals. And without AJ Brown, and really you don't have anyone besides. I think they have. I don't even know his name. Robert Woods. They have Traylon Burks, and that's it in the passing game. And then their O line is iffy, and then they just have Derrick Henry. So like their offense is just nothing. So at that point, you're like, all right, we're just gonna kind of restart, get a maybe quarterback tank for one of the good quarterbacks that are available at high, like C.J. Stroud or the guy from Alabama. I forget his name. I don't know. You know who I'm talking
You think that as you know, Titan fans, the team, they're looking more for like they're looking more towards a rebuild then?
I would say like a soft rebuild, because they have pieces that obviously work. Derrick Henry, they have lost one of their best defensive linemen. They still have Simmons. They have, I mean, Trey Lance will eventually be good. I mean, Robert Woods is not a bad wide receiver. They need that wide receiver. They need a better quarterback. They hired who's a really good safety. They have some pieces here and there, so it won't be like a total just sell everyone and restart, because I don't think you can really get Vrabel either. I think Vrabel's proven himself to be a really good coach. But at that point, if you start 0-3, it doesn't matter how good of a coach you are. Starting 0-3 after making the playoffs and being the number one seed, you have your job on the line. I maybe they give him another season to be like, hey, we'll give you one more season and then you're out. But I think Tannehill's this is his last season if they start 0-3 for sure. I think they'll start playing Malik Willis for sure.
Yeah, I mean, with drafting Malik Willis and doing the trade with AJ Brown and for the first round pick, that kind of trade, that kind of you're already showing your cards. Like the organization's kind of basically
Yeah.
showing that they want to do some sort of rebuild or at least revamp. So it almost seems like they're admitting that this season's not going to be it. It's just crazy to go from number one, AFC seed
Yeah.
to that. So in terms of like 0-3 affecting which team in a more negative way, it would definitely be us because this is supposed to
Yeah.
be our peak, right? We are not rebuilding. we have,
No.
if anything, we've been kind of just like steadily growing for the last couple of years, but we haven't been in a rebuild since
2018.
yeah.
Yeah.
So starting 0-3 would be much, much worse for us than it is them, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, just thinking about where we're at right now, I mean, obviously we still have Devontae Adams for a few more years. We have Max Crosby. We have all these players that are still on these longer contracts, but you don't want to waste a window of 3 to 4 years by sucking for one of them, because then you lost a year and then you're not guaranteed to have success later on. So you got to get the success now, especially when the fan base and the owner in general is expecting playoff wins. We made the playoffs last year. We almost beat the Bengals. Didn't happen, obviously. But getting playoff wins, especially for someone like Derek Carr, who doesn't have one yet, you have, he's now with Devontae Adams. He has Darren Waller. I mean, these players, like especially the older players like Darren Waller, Devontae Adams, are getting older. Like they have longer contracts, but that doesn't mean they last. I mean, older players get injured, and it's very hard for them to come back. Not saying they will, and obviously not on wood, but we have a very small time frame right now. We can't waste a single season. And obviously McDaniels and Ziegler know that, Mark Davis knows that, and I'm sure the players know that. But we need to start seeing it. We need to start seeing the fact that we're not taking a year off. Like, obviously, maybe it's not Super Bowl this year, but we need to have that playoff berth, that playoff win to show that we are still have more to give. Next draft we can get really good players in the draft. We can build in free agency. We can start getting rid of that dead weight that Gruden and Mayock left behind. It's obviously always a slow build, especially when you're already a contender, quote unquote. But like, look at the Bills. They had Josh Allen. They developed him. Last year they didn't quite make it. The year before that they didn't quite make it. But this year, everything put together, they went off. But they didn't have an off year. They started slow, but once they got to the point where they made playoffs again and again. And they made steadily bigger growth. So you can't waste a year, especially when you only have like 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, I mean the Bills. That's a kind of good team. That's a good team to kind of compare to what personally I expect for the Raiders in terms of like you said, it was a steady growth for the Bills, but it wasn't like a growth that was like all the way at the bottom. I mean, they've been to the playoffs for how many of the last couple seasons, so that's what I kind of expect for the Raiders at this point. We were at the playoffs last year before the season started. Coming to this season 4-0. I know it's preseason, but it really shows that usually preseason shows that like the play calling is good and everything. And we have new coaches, new regime coming in. So everything looked good, and it looked good to be on track for another, not guaranteed playoff season, but like you should definitely be having a playoff berth this year.
Absolutely.
So 0-2. I mean, it doesn't knock that possibility out, but I mean it's definitely not the best thing.
No, and it's like some stats are like, the Patriots started 0-2 and 0-1, and like some teams that made the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl that started 0-2. When you're facing down 0-3 to another 0-2 team that also made the playoffs last year, it's very hard. This is a very, very crucial win to get. This is a very pivotal moment in our season. If we can get this win, and an easy win, like if we can get this win and we can crush the Titans, I believe we can, beat the Broncos and then go into Kansas City on Monday Night Football. Maybe not win, but make it close. Go into the bye, reset, get everyone healthy. Go against the Texans to start off the bye week. Which, if we can beat the Titans and the Broncos, we'll be 2-3 going into the bye, which is not great. But we have the 2 wins. You're going against the Texans and then the Saints, who haven't looked very strong, and then you have the Colts, and then you have the Jaguars. You have a stretch that's not super easy, but not hard either, and that's the point where we need to have these 2 wins going into the bye week. We need to at least have 2 wins going into the bye week to make any chance of having a solid run in that middle of the season, and then ending off the season with some more difficult games, but still winnable games against the Patriots, the Rams, the Niners, the Steelers. The Steelers at that point might be really easy, and then the Chiefs to finish off the season. So this is an extremely crucial game to go into it 0-2 and come out of it 1-2. Honestly, we should be coming out of it 2-1, but whatever. We messed up the Cardinals game, but coming out of this game 1-2 is extremely crucial, because if we start 0-3, it's going to be a lost season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get ahead of any game, but like you were just saying, looking at the bye week and looking at the rest of the schedule, if we go into the bye week even 1-4, it's not that bad. It's really not the end of the road, because that stretch, like you're talking about, it's not a terrible.
And another issue that I found out just now while I was editing. As you see, the audio just stopped. My recording software decided to stop recording the audio. So, to sum up what we were talking about is basically winning the next 2 games is hugely important, especially against the Titans. We really need to win the Titans game. That is massively important. If we go 0-3 to start the season, we're not going to be able to make playoffs. It's almost impossible. And then going on to play the Broncos, we need to win that game. It's a desperately needed win to go, probably 2-3 into the bye week, because if we play the Chiefs, we're probably going to lose. But hey, you never know. Maybe we got that momentum going. We beat the Chiefs going into the bye week, come out, play the Texans and the Saints, and the Jags, the Colts, teams like that are struggling right now or aren't the greatest teams. That could be the momentum we need. So this is a hugely momentum game. We honestly should have had the momentum going into this game, being 1-1, coming out of it 2-1, then maybe 3-1, then maybe 3-2, going into the bye. Our heads held up high. Maybe we had a close game against the Chiefs, but basically, this game is massively important. Now, that's pretty much all that we talked about for the rest of the video. Now, what I do want to say is make sure you subscribe to my friend NJ Raider Nation. He makes some good content, isn't it? He's going to try and make more consistent content, so definitely check him out. Definitely subscribe to him. Give him a follow on Twitter at NJ Raider Nation 0. We have something working on for the future, some sort of branding. So stay tuned for that. I'm very excited to get that going, get that rolling. So stay tuned, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys had a absolutely wonderful day. Like, comment, and subscribe on both of our channels, and I hope you guys have a great day. Peace out, Raider Nation.